Assalamu alaikum class. Today we are going to focus on how to calculate interest rates when they are missing, particularly in the context of time value of money. As you know, generally you are asked to find out either present value or future value with given interest rate and time period. However, in some cases, you might have both the present value as well as future value, but interest rate is not provided. So, what we do in those situations? We will go through a method that uses present value, future value, and time period to figure out the missing interest rate. So let's start with some examples and calculations. And we have taken these examples from Fundamentals of Financial Management by Brigham Houston, and we are covering chapter 5, Time Value of Money. So here we have Excel sheet to calculate the problems, to solve the problems, and this is problem 5-3. Time period is given 18 years, and your parents will retire in 18 years. They currently have means right now they have $250,000, $250,000. So this is present value, and they think that they will need 1 million at retirement. So this 1 million represent future value. What annual interest rate must they earn to reach their goal? So interest rate is required in this particular problem. So they have present value, they have future value, they have time period, but interest rate is missing. So this is the formula to find out future value. So with the help of this formula, the same formula, we will find out the missing value of interest rate. So future value is 1 million. On the other side, we have present value, PV, which is $250,000. Then multiply this present value with 1 plus I mean interest rate, which is not given in this problem, raised to power. How many time period is 18? So 18 is there. What we do in the first step, we just take this $250,000 on the other side. So 1 million divided by 250. And then here we have just 1 plus I raised to power 18 years. So in the next step, when you divide 1 million by 250, what you get? 4. On the other side, 4. On the other side, you have 1 plus I 18. So what we can do in order to solve this part, we can multiply both sides by 1 over 18. So when we multiply 4 by 1 over 18, and on the other side, when we multiply 1 plus I, and then we multiply this side by 1 over 18. So this 18 will be cancelled by 1 over 18. means 18 divided by 18. So, and we solve this here. So, you can take this in the bracket. On the other side, this 18 is cancelled by 1 over 18. So, we just have 1 plus I. So, we take this 1 on the other side of equation. So 1.08006 minus 1. On the other side, we have interest rate. So I would be when 1.08 minus 1, you get 0.08006, or you can write it as, or in terms of percentage, that is 8.006%. So this is the interest rate. We can highlight it. So this is the interest rate. Now, as we are solving this problem on the Excel sheet, so you can directly find out with the help of Excel financial formulas. With the help of Excel sheet, how can we find out now? You can see here, um, we go in the formulas tab, then financial tab, and what we are going to find out, interest rate, or you can say rate. So here we have this rate. Okay. So N per means the number of time periods or the total number of payment periods, which are 18. Here you can say 18 years. We don't have payment. Payments means equal payment, each payment or monthly payment or periodical payment. So we don't have in this particular situation, but we have just present value, which is $250,000, and we have future value, which is 1 million. So that's it. You can see the answer is same, 8%. We can write it down here in this way. So exact answer is there. So you can also calculate it via Excel sheet formulas, whereas this is the manual procedure. This can be done on your calculators. So here is the answer of problem 5-3. Now moving toward 5-11, the company's 2013 sales were 12 million, whereas the company's 2008 sales were 6 million. At what rate have sales been growing? So in, you can say, growth rate is required. So growth rate, we can calculate it via this formula, the same formula, future value or present value. So future value is 12 million, whereas present value is 6 million. Multiply by 1 plus I. So 1 plus I mean interest rate, which is not given, raised to power. Uh, n means, now we can calculate n is not given, but from 2008 to 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13 means there are 5 years are involved. So we can take n as 5. Now, just 12 divided by 6. On the other side, we have 1 plus 1 plus interest rate raised to power time period, which is 5. So here we have uh, 12 over 6 means we can write it as 2. On the other side, we have 1 plus I raised to power 5. Now, what we want to do is in the next step, we want to solve this. We want to find out I. So, what we can do is to multiply both side, left hand side as well as right hand side, by 1 over 5 so that we cancel out this 5. So, this 2 is, now we are multiplying it by 1 over 5. Whereas on the other side, this 5 power will be cancelled by 1 over 5. So we just have 1 plus I is remaining. So when we solve this, we get 1.148, whereas we have 1 plus I. So we will deduct this one from this. So by subtracting 1 from 1.148, we have 0.148698 is your interest. Or you can write it down in the percentage format, which is 14.8698%. It is your, you can say this is your interest rate, or you can say it is your growth rate. We can also find it via Excel formula. So here it is Excel sheet. We have to find out the rate or rate of interest. So this is the growth rate or rate of interest. So time periods are involved 5. We have present value, which is right now is 6 million, whereas future value is 12 million. We don't have any payment or regular monthly payment or periodical payment. So the answer is 15, but we have this in the points. So you can see the answer are same here, 14. So 14.87, we can do it manually via calculator or with the Excel sheet formulas. So this is problem number 5-11. Now we are moving toward 5-12. So in this case, we have given 4 different parts. In part 1, you borrow $700 and promise to pay back 749 in at the end of the year 1. So 3 things are given: present value, future value, and time period. So we use the same approach as we used in 5-3 or 5-12. So this is for part A. Future value is 749. On the other side, we have present value, which is 700. Multiply by 1 plus I, 1 plus I. I is not given, whereas raised to power n time period is 1 year. So multiply both sides. When we multiply both sides by 1, uh, so we have 749 divide by 700. On the other side, we have 1 plus I and raised to power just 1. So when you divide this by this amount, this is 1.07, and when you multiply both side by multiply both side by power 1 over 1, so you get the same, that is 1 plus I. So you take this one on the other side of the equation, so you get 7%. which is I. So we can calculate it via Excel sheet formula. Here is we have financials and we are going to find out rate. So this is the interest rate. Time period is just one. Present value is minus 700 and future value is 749. So it is 7%. So you can see the same answer. Interest rate is same on both ways. So in part B, we repeat the same problem, same amount. Here in part A, you borrow 700 and in part B, you lend 700. So in both cases, you have a present value as well as a future value. So you go with the same solution. There will not be change in the solution because whether you borrow money or you lend money, the procedure is same for calculation of I or interest rate. So in part C, you borrow $85,000 and pay back 201,229 means this is your future value, whereas 85,000 is your present value. Time period is 10 years. So with the help of the same formula, we are going to calculate part C. So in future, we are expecting to have $201,229. On the other side, we have $85,000 and we multiply it 1 plus I interest rate, which is not given, raised to power n, which is 10 years. So 201 229 is divided by 85,000. In the next step, we can divide this by 85,000 because now we are moving this 85,000 on the other side of the equation as this 85,000 is multiplying on this side. So on the other side, this is going to be divided by. So here you have 1 plus I, that is interest rate, which is missing, and 10. So when you divide this amount by 85,000, this one. So when you divide this by 85,000, on the other side, you have 1 plus I raised to power 10. So we can multiply both sides by 1 over 10. So here we have 2.3674 raised to power uh, 1 over 10. So we are going to multiply it by 1 over 10. In order, why we are doing this? Because we want to cancel out this or we want to open this bracket. So when we multiply this side by 1 over 10, then this 10 will be cancelled by 1 over 10. So here we have what we have remaining, 1 plus I. So when we solve this, we get 1.09000. So this on the other side we have 1 plus I and we take this one on the other side of the equation. So when we deduct 1 from 1.09, so you get 0.90001, 0.09. So on the other side, you have I, that is interest rate. So I is 0.09000, or you can say it is 9.30001%, or you can say you can take just three digit after point. So this is 9%. We can solve it with the help of Excel sheet formula also. In order to confirm the answer, you can see here we have formulas, and we have financial, and what we are calculating interest rates. So time period is 10 years, payment is not given, whereas present value of what we have right now is 85,000, and what we are expecting in the future, which is 201,229. So what would be the interest rate? It is same 9%. Even we can check it by adding more points. You can see 9%. So answer is same whether you calculate it via Excel sheet or on your calculators. So next is you borrow 9,000 and promise to make a payment of 2684 at the end of the each year. You can see at the end of the each year, which for 5 years, which means that here PMT is also given, whereas in the first three examples, no PMT is given. First three examples are related to single values, whereas part D is related to multiple payments, which means that uh, annuities is involved. So in this case, you borrow 9,000, so this 9,000 represent value today. So this is present value. We are going to calculate. Here it is part D. Okay, so present value, we have how much present value? 9,000. So we have 9,000 on this side, whereas PMT means multiple payment each time, each year, same payment, which is 2684.8. Whereas this PMT will be multiplied by, this is called factor. So factor is given. Here it is. So what we are going to do in the next step, this whole 1 over 1 plus I raised to power and whole divided by I, this means this is called factor. So when we have PMT, we will have to use the present value of annuity table, the factors table, because we cannot calculate it simply, or either we can use a hit and trial method. So I'm going to show you how to calculate I in case of annuities with the help of present value of annuity tables. So in the next step, we have 9,000, and because this PMT is multiplying with the factor, so on the other side, this is going to be divided by 2684.8. So this factor will be remain same in the next step. And what we have when we divide this, we have 3.3522, and the time period involved is 5 years. This is for 5 years. Do remember that this example is for 5 years. Now what we are going to do, I'm sharing with you the present value table. You can see it here, it is, and this table is easily available on internet. You can search it by present value table and a PDF. So here you can see that this is a four pages table. You can see first table is simple value. You can see simple formula 1 plus I. On the second page, it is again the future value. This is for future value of annuity. You can see the formula. But now we are using present value of annuity. So this you can see present value interest of annuity. And we have 5 years. So you can see that we are using year 5 means that year 5, this one. Time period is 5 years. So we are using this line. And we are going to find out the interest rate. We have calculated the factor. The factor was, you can see, you can check it again. The factor was 3.3522. So we will check this factor on the table. So now you can see 3.35. So here we have 5 years, and you can see that 3.35 here it is. It is 3 point present value discounted. No, this is present value table. So where is annuity table? We are going to calculate it in the annuity table. Present value annuity table. Yeah, this one. So year 5, and check the in factor. So 3.35 was the factor, 3.352. So here we have 3.9, 3.8, and you can see 3.5. So this is 3.5. This one, 3.35. You can find out this one, 3.35. So time period is 5 years. So 5 years, the factor 3.35. At this factor, the rate of interest is 15%. So answer would be 15%. What we did, we just highlighted the number of period, which is 5 years. And now we check the factor, which was 3.35, which we got uh, by dividing present value from the future value, or you can say we have divided 85,000, which was the present value, by payment. So you can write the answer here. In this case, the answer is, you can write it here, 15% is the interest rate. So when payment is given, you will have to involve the table, the present value table or factor table. So now we can calculate it via Excel sheet formula. Here we have formula, financials, and the rate of interest, or the rate. This one is the rate. Now you can see time period, how many time period is involved? 5 years. So we can write it 5. Now in this case, PMT is given. PMT means payment, which is 2684. So we will deduct, you borrow, and you promise 2684.80. On the other side, we have present value, which is 9,000, and we do not have any future value in this case. So the interest rate would be, here you can see the interest rate is 5%, 15%. So interest rate is 15%. We have the same answer. We have calculated it via Excel sheet as well as by a calculator. So last problem is for the current lecture is 5-17. Again, you borrow 230, means this is your present value. The annual loan payment repayment amount is given. So what interest rate are you going to charge? N is 30 years. So what we do with the present value, we have $230,000. On the other side, payment is 20430.31 multiply by this complete factor. Which factor? This one. So we cannot solve it in a very simple way. That's why we are using table, factor table. So in the next step, 230,000 will be divided by PMT, which is 20430.31, and we have factor in the next step, and we solve this. So the factor is 11.258. So now we are going to search the present value of annuity table, and we will find out 11.258 factor, and we will match this factor with the percentage or rate of interest. But you will have to remember one thing: we have 30 years. So N is 30. So I'm going to share it with you, the table again, and now 30 years. So here, this is the table, and N would be 30 years. So here we have this one. This is important. Now again, we can see that we are going to match our factor with the percentage. So what was the factor? You can see again we have 11.258. So what we are going to do, we are going to find out 11.258 in 30 years. So in 30 years we have 11.258. You can see this one, 11.258, and the percentage is 8%. Here it is the column. So what we did, we simply highlighted 30 years, and our factor was 11.258. So this 11.258 is on 8%. So 8% would be your rate of interest in this case. So I is 8%. So we can also check it via Excel sheet formula, built-in formulas. We have financial, and what we are going to do is to find out rate or interest rate, and time period is 30 years. Payment is 2430 0.31, whereas we have present value $230,000. We do not have any future value. Okay. So here it is what mistake we have done. We should use minus sign. So 8%. You can see answer are same whether we use Excel sheet formula, built-in formulas, or we can calculate it with calculators. So that's it from this lecture. Take care, class.